I shouldn't be telling you this. Honestly, I probably shouldn't even be recording right now, but if anything happens to me after I upload this, at least someone will know why. And if you're watching this, it means the file wanted you too. Yeah, I know how that sounds, paranoid, melodramatic, but hear me out before you click away. I'm not here to waste your time with a ghost story that ends in a jump scare. This is real, and it started with something so stupid, so ordinary, that I almost ignored it. I was sitting at my desk late one night, doing what everyone does, scrolling through emails I'd been avoiding, mindlessly checking notifications, and pretending I'd start the work I kept putting off. Nothing special. Nothing creepy. Just me, my laptop, and the faint hum of the fan. That's when I saw it. A file. Sitting on my desktop like it had always been there. The name was wrong, too deliberate, too neat. Not a download, not a mistake. Just, there. No icon preview, no application tied to it. Just a sterile name in bold text, like it was waiting for me to notice. And I swear, my computer almost seemed relieved once I did. I didn't click it. Not then. Not yet. I told myself it was a glitch, maybe some leftover system file or update junk. But you know that feeling you get when your eyes catch something that shouldn't exist? When you know something is out of place, and suddenly your stomach drops like gravity just betrayed you? That's what it felt like. I should have shut it down. I should have gone to bed, deleted the file, anything. But instead, I sat there staring at it, as if it was staring back. And the worst part? The timestamp said it had been created months before I even bought this computer. Tell me if I'm crazy, or if you've ever seen something like this before. Because that file is still on my desktop. And eventually, I did open it. It had been a night like any other, at least, that's how it started. I wasn't chasing ghosts, I wasn't digging through the deep web, I wasn't even doing anything remotely interesting. Just me, slouched in my chair, half distracted by some mindless Netflix show playing in the background while I tried to clear out the pile of unread emails glaring at me from my inbox. You know the kind, spam from places I don't even remember signing up for, promotions I never asked for, and messages from work I kept marking as unread just to pretend I'd deal with them later. Normal. Routine. Comfortably boring. And then my eye caught something different. At first I thought maybe I had dragged something onto my desktop without realizing it, an accidental screenshot, maybe a random file from one of those junk folders. But no. It wasn't mine. I knew it wasn't. The name was the first thing that made my chest tighten, rec_0000_final.mov. The formatting was too deliberate, too sterile, like a production file you'd expect from some kind of professional shoot, not something a casual user would ever make. And final? Nobody actually names things final unless there are 10 other versions before it. This was the first red flag, it was too clean. I hovered the cursor over it. No thumbnail preview. Just a blank, gray icon, as if the computer itself was embarrassed to show me what was inside. My system didn't even recognize the program it belonged to. For a long minute, I just stared at it, waiting for some rational explanation to float into my head. A misdownload? Malware? Some prank? But I hadn't clicked on anything shady. I hadn't downloaded a thing. And yet, there it was, front and center on my desktop. That's when I noticed the timestamp. Created, 4 months before I bought this computer. I froze. Read it again. Double-check the system clock. But no, it was there in black and white, mocking me with a kind of impossible certainty. Whoever, or whatever, put this file here had done it before I'd even owned the machine. It should have been impossible. But there it was, like a splinter under the skin. I'll admit something, I closed the laptop for a while. Sat back, rubbed my eyes, told myself it was just a glitch in the metadata. Computers mess up, right? Files get corrupted, systems mislabel dates. That's what I wanted to believe. But the longer I sat there, the more it felt like the file wasn't just waiting for me, it was hiding from me, tucked neatly between my folders until it decided I was ready to notice. Like the computer wanted me to find it. You know that feeling when a silence in the room feels heavier than noise? When you swear the air itself is watching you? That's what it felt like sitting in front of that dimly glowing screen, cursor floating over those bold letters. I didn't open it. Not yet. I kept telling myself not to. Kept telling myself I'd delete it, forget it existed, and move on. But every time I moved my cursor away, my eyes dragged back to it, like a magnet pulling at the edges of my thoughts. And deep down, I knew I was going to click it eventually. Because curiosity doesn't just kill cats, it kills common sense. And the moment I opened it, everything started to unravel. I told myself I wouldn't open it. That I'd delete it and move on with my life. But that's not how these things go, is it? When something doesn't make sense, when it defies the little rules we build to keep the world feeling safe, you can't just look away. So, yeah. I double-clicked. At first, nothing happened. Just a black screen with a faint hiss of static, the kind of noise you get from an old CRT television. I almost laughed, anticlimactic, right? Like all this paranoia was over a corrupted video file. But then the frame flickered, and I realized I wasn't looking at static anymore. I was looking at a room. The resolution was awful, full of digital noise, like it had been copied and compressed too many times. The perspective was strange too, tilted from some high corner angle, like a hidden security camera. For a few seconds, my brain didn't register what I was seeing. Just a room. Empty. Silent. Still. And then recognition hit me like a punch. The wallpaper. The pattern, off-white with faint gray lines, was identical to mine. Not similar. Identical. Down to the faint water stain in the corner near the ceiling. My breath caught in my throat as I scanned the frame, half expecting to see myself sitting there, watching. It wasn't my room exactly. Some of the furniture was different. The bed was in the wrong spot, the nightstand was missing, the desk was on the opposite wall. But the bones of it, the layout, the window placement, the paint, were the same. Too much the same. I leaned closer to the screen, squinting at the grainy video, searching for a logical explanation. Maybe it was a stock room, a common design, some trick of familiarity. But I couldn't shake the wrongness of it. It was my room, even if it wasn't. The camera lingered on the empty bed for what felt like minutes, no sound but the faint crackle of static, until movement stirred in the far left corner. A figure. At first, I thought it was just a distortion, a glitch in the video. But then it shifted again, slow, deliberate, and I realized it wasn't a trick of pixels. Someone was standing there. Tall. Thin. The details were lost in the grain, but the shape was unmistakable. Shoulders hunched, head tilted slightly as if listening. Not moving toward the camera, not leaving, just standing. Watching. I sat frozen in my chair, my hand hovering uselessly over the trackpad, heart hammering in my chest. Part of me wanted to slam the laptop shut, but another part, the reckless, morbidly curious part, needed to see what happened next. The video stuttered, jumped frames, and suddenly the figure was closer. Not by much, just a few feet, but enough to feel like a violation. Like something had been skipped over, erased. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the video cut to black. I stared at the empty screen, pulse thundering in my ears. The file closed itself, like it had finished what it wanted to show me. For a long time, I just sat there in silence, replaying the details in my mind. The wallpaper. The layout. The figure. It didn't make sense. None of it did. Of course, the first thing I told myself was that I'd imagined the figure, that it was compression noise, a trick of the eyes. And yet, deep down, I knew better. And the strangest part? When I hovered over the file again, the size had changed. Just a few kilobytes more than before. Like the video had updated itself. I should have deleted it then. Wiped the drive, burned the laptop, anything. Instead, I told myself I'd watch it again later, maybe record it this time to prove I wasn't losing my mind. Because the truth is, curiosity isn't just stronger than fear, it feeds on it. And something in me needed to know what else the video might show the next time I pressed play. Yeah, I know. I should have stopped watching. Closed the laptop, deleted the file, gone on with my boring little life. But curiosity is a hell of a drug, and once it sinks its claws into you, you don't walk away, you lean in. I replayed the video. The first time back, it looked the same, static, the empty room, the same shaky footage. But then I caught something I hadn't before. At the very start, buried under the hiss of the static, there was sound. Whispered, broken syllables, like words just out of reach. I cranked my volume up, pressed my ear to the speaker, but every time I thought I recognized a phrase, it would dissolve back into static. I told myself I was imagining it. But then the timestamp at the bottom corner shifted. It wasn't the same time as before. The first viewing, the file had opened at 12:03 a.m. This time, it said 12:07. I scrolled back, thinking maybe I'd missed those minutes the first time. But no, this was new. The file was changing. I hit play again. And again. Each time, something was different. A frame skipped here. A shadow moved there. The whispers grew clearer, though never enough to fully understand. And the figure, the one I swore I'd imagined the first time, turned. Just slightly, head angled closer to the lens, as though it knew I was watching. You ever binge a show, promising yourself just one more episode, and suddenly it's 3 a.m. and you don't know how you got there? That's what it was like. Except instead of a season of some mindless sitcom, it was this cursed fragment of video, pulling me in deeper every time I pressed play. Pause this video right now and tell me, what would you do? Would you shut it down, or would you keep digging, trying to convince yourself there's a rational explanation buried somewhere in the noise? Because I couldn't stop. Hours passed. The whispers started to sound like my name. The timestamp shifted further, like the video was crawling through time. And that figure, always closer, always sharper. By the sixth replay, I swear I could make out the shape of its face. Not clear, not enough to describe, but enough to feel the weight of its gaze pressing against the glass of my screen. I laughed once, dark, hollow, at how pathetic it was. Sitting in the dark, replaying a cursed video like some junkie chasing a high. I told myself I was being scientific, gathering evidence, cataloging differences. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was, I was hooked. The file knew it too. How else do you explain the way it seemed to respond? The way the changes only appeared after I noticed something? Like it was waiting for me to catch up before revealing the next piece. Like it wanted me to keep watching. And maybe I'm insane, but I swear, at one point, between the static and the whispers, I heard something that didn't come from my speakers. It came from behind me. I whipped around, half expecting to see someone standing in the shadows of my room. But there was nothing. Just the faint hum of my ceiling fan and the glow of the screen. I told myself it was exhaustion, a trick of the mind after hours of staring into digital snow. But the unease didn't fade. And then, the real world started glitching too. The first time, it was small, my bedroom light flickering even though the bulb was new. Then the lock on my front door clicked open by itself in the middle of the night. Little things, impossible things, echoing the unease of the video. And with every replay, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. Whatever was inside that file, it wasn't staying contained. It wasn't just a video anymore. At first, I clung to the logical explanations. Virus. Malware. Some sadistic hacker running a prank to see how far they could push me before I snapped. I even Googled it, video file changing on its own, metadata shifting, creepy whisper audio in MP4. You'd be surprised how many rabbit holes you can find at 2 a.m., but none of them gave me answers. Nothing came close. Because the glitches didn't stay in the video. They started bleeding out. The first thing I noticed was the lamp on my desk. I'd been replaying the file, because of course I had, and right as the figure turned its head in the grainy footage, the bulb flickered. A coincidence, sure. But then it flickered again, perfectly synced to the next cut in the video. I sat there staring at the lamp like an idiot, waiting for it to do it again. It didn't. Not until the next replay. After that, little things began stacking up. My computer booted itself in the middle of the night, fan humming like it had been awake for hours by the time I rolled out of bed. My phone screen lit up on its own, flashing static before returning to normal. Doors I knew I'd locked were found ajar the next morning. And the whispers, God, the whispers. One night, I woke up in the dark to that same muffled hiss from the video, except it wasn't coming from my speakers. It was in my room. Low. Broken. Like someone trying to speak through water, just out of reach of comprehension. My skin crawled, and I held my breath, waiting to hear it again. And I did. Louder this time, just over my shoulder. I didn't move. Didn't dare. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling like a bug pinned to glass. When I finally worked up the courage to roll over, of course there was nothing there. Nothing but my desk, laptop shut tight, screen black. I keep telling myself there has to be a rational explanation. Power surge. Sleep paralysis. Hell, maybe I'm losing my mind from staring at a cursed video too long. But here's the thing I can't ignore, every time reality glitches, the video grows clearer. Less distortion. Sharper detail. Like it's feeding off something. Like it's bridging the gap. What if my screen isn't a screen at all? What if it's just a window? If this ever happens to you, shut it down. Walk away. Burn the hard drive, smash the screen, do anything but what I did. Because I didn't walk away. Instead, I told myself I needed someone else to see it. Someone to prove I wasn't insane. Someone who could say, yeah, this is messed up, and make me feel a little less alone. So I called a friend. I downplayed it, of course, told him I'd found a weird video, maybe some creepy ARG, and asked if he'd take a look. He laughed, said I was overthinking it, but he agreed to come by the next night. I should have felt relief, but all I felt was dread. Because deep down, I already knew the file wouldn't behave the same way for him. It didn't want him. It wanted me. He showed up the next evening, carrying a six-pack and smirking like I'd dragged him over for a bad movie night. "So this is the creepy video that's ruining your life," he joked, dropping onto my couch. "Man, you need to get out more." I tried to laugh with him, but it came out hollow. Just watch it. Tell me what you see." He rolled his eyes, pulled out his laptop, and set it on the coffee table. I'd sent him a copy of the file earlier, just to prove it wasn't tied to my machine. He clicked it open, completely unfazed, sipping his beer as the screen flickered to life. At first, I thought it was the same footage, grainy static, dim room, that awful camera angle. But then I realized what I was looking at wasn't the same at all. It was me. Not a room that looked like mine. Not distorted wallpaper. Me. I was lying in bed, asleep, one arm dangling off the edge, my chest rising and falling in the exact rhythm I knew was mine. The details were too sharp, too personal, too recent. "What the hell, man?" my friend whispered, the smirk gone. He leaned closer, squinting at the screen. "Is this some kind of prank? Did you record yourself and forget about it?" "No," I said quickly, too quickly. "I've never, no. That's not." He looked at me like he didn't believe me. Then the video skipped, cutting to a frame where my eyes were half open. Just staring into the dark. Not blinking. My friend recoiled, slamming the laptop shut. "Nope. No. Screw that. That's not funny." "I told you," I whispered, my throat dry. "It changes. Every time." He shook his head, running a hand through his hair. "Dude, delete it. Delete the whole thing before it screws with you any worse. This is like one of those internet legends, you know? Like that cursed broadcast thing, or the chain email crap people used to talk about. You shouldn't even have this." I remembered then, something I'd read years ago. A forum thread about living files, media that rewrote itself depending on who opened it. I'd dismissed it as urban legend, a digital campfire story. But sitting there, watching my friend's face pale, I felt that old thread slither back into my mind like poison. "Maybe you've heard of it," I said, voice shaking. "Those files that don't stay put. People online swore they'd seen them." "Yeah, well, guess what?" he snapped. "That's not lore. That's a warning." He stood, grabbing his laptop. "Delete it, man. I'm serious. Burn the drive if you have to. Whatever this is, it's not a joke. Don't call me about it again." And just like that, he was gone. The door slammed, leaving me alone with the low hum of my computer fan and that cursed file sitting innocent on my desktop, like nothing had happened. I sat there staring at it, wishing I had the strength to drag it to the trash, to finally let it go. But I didn't. Because some part of me still needed to know what it would show me next. After my friend left, I told myself I'd delete it. I even dragged the file to the recycle bin, hovered my finger over the key. But my hand wouldn't move. My chest was tight, my skin prickling, every instinct screaming don't. Not because I was afraid of keeping it, because I was terrified of what might happen if I tried to erase it. So I didn't. And of course, I watched it again. Only this time, the video was different in a way that shattered any last scrap of logic I'd been clinging to. It didn't show my room. It didn't show me asleep. It showed moments. Little, ordinary things. The first clip was me in my kitchen, holding a glass of water. The quality was still grainy, the audio warped, but the scene was unmistakable. I shifted my weight, fumbled, and the glass slipped. It shattered across the tile in a spray of shards. I frowned, confused. Because that hadn't happened. Not yet. I stopped the video, got up, and walked to the kitchen, just to reassure myself. Everything was in place. My glass was still sitting in the dish rack, perfectly fine. I laughed then, too loud, too forced. So what is this? Some weird deepfake? I muttered. But my throat was dry, because a part of me already knew. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen, grabbed that same glass, and it slipped from my hand. It hit the floor and exploded exactly the way I'd seen it on the screen. I froze, breath shallow, staring at the glittering shards across the tile. The memory of the video overlapped perfectly with reality. And that was only the beginning. The file updated again the next night. This time, the clip was my apartment door. Closed at first. Then the handle slowly turned, the door creaking open into darkness. I sat up half the night, watching the actual door across the room, waiting for it to move. It didn't, not that night. But 2 days later, I came home from work to find it wide open. I stopped asking how. I started asking when. Every time I pressed play, the video revealed something new, tiny, insignificant fragments of my own life that hadn't happened yet. A coffee mug slipping, my phone buzzing with a call I hadn't received, the bathroom mirror fogged as though someone had showered, even though I hadn't turned on the water. And then, the figure came back. Not standing in the corner this time. Not lurking in shadows. It was in the background of the clips, just barely there. A reflection in the glass as I dropped the mug. A shadow on the floor behind me in the kitchen. Watching. Always watching. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Every sound in my apartment set me on edge, every flicker of light made my skin crawl. I knew the video wasn't predicting things, it was dictating them. Showing me pieces of a future I couldn't avoid. And the worst part? The clips were getting longer. Clearer. I can't describe the feeling of living in a loop, waiting for reality to catch up with something you've already seen. It rots your brain. It makes you second-guess everything. I couldn't even drop a fork without wondering if the file had planned it. And then came the last clip. I shouldn't even tell you what it showed. You're not ready. But I'll say this much, it wasn't a broken glass. It wasn't a door swinging open. It was me. Sitting exactly where I am now. Talking to the camera, voice shaking, telling you this story. And behind me. No. Not yet. You're not ready for what the last few seconds showed me. But I saw it. And it's coming. I thought I'd seen everything that cursed file could throw at me. The broken glass, the door creaking open, the figure in the shadows, each clip tearing away at my sanity piece by piece. But nothing prepared me for the final version. Because this time, when I pressed play, the video wasn't a prediction. It wasn't a reflection. It was now. The screen showed me, sitting exactly here, in this chair, hunched over my desk. Same clothes, same expression, same restless tapping of my fingers against the keyboard. My computer screen glowed with the recording software I'm using right this second. And behind me, the figure. It wasn't hidden anymore. No tricks of light, no grainy distortion to hide its shape. It was closer than ever, just a few feet away, standing in the corner of the room like it had always belonged there. I froze, eyes darting between the file on my screen and the corner of my actual room. Empty. Nothing there. I laughed nervously, telling myself it was just another mind game. Another manipulation. But then the me on the screen turned his head. Slowly. As if he heard something. And when his eyes widened in terror, my skin broke out in goosebumps because I realized he wasn't reacting to the figure. He was reacting to me. That's when it hit me, the file wasn't just showing my future. It was collapsing the distance between what was on screen and what was real. I wasn't watching it anymore. It was watching me. And if you're still here, still listening to this, then you're watching with it. Which means it's watching you, too. I shouldn't even be telling you this. But maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what the file wanted all along. Because the moment I hit record to share this confession, the file updated again. The final seconds played, and I saw myself speaking these exact words. If you're watching this, it means the file wanted you too. Do not pause. Do not rewind. That only makes it stronger. If you're still watching, that means you made it to the end. Which honestly, I'm not sure is a good thing. But now I need to know, what do you think? Have you ever heard of something like this before? A file that shouldn't exist, a video that seems to know you? Maybe you've seen whispers online, or maybe you've had your own strange glitches, stuff moving in your room, files appearing on your desktop. If so, I want you to tell me in the comments. Share everything. And hey, if you actually made it through the whole story without pausing or clicking away, drop a laptop computer emoji down below so I know you're part of this little community of the infected. Don't worry, you're not alone. I'll be reading your theories, your experiences, and maybe even your warnings. Because I don't think this was an isolated event. I've been digging, and I keep running into the same rumors, different files, different names, all appearing around the same time, all carrying something. A pattern. A bigger picture. And if I'm right, this file isn't the only one. This isn't the only digital ghost floating around out there. But I'll leave you with this, remember, curiosity is a game you don't always win. So before you go scrolling to something brighter, ask yourself, would you open it? If a file with your name on it showed up right now, time-stamped before you even bought your computer, would you press play? I'll be back soon. Because this isn't the only file that appears at 3 a.m. But that's another story.